Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are at another episode of Flipping Houses with Rookies.
Well,
I want to see if everybody's paying attention.
I caught that. I'm one, and they're the rest.
All right, here we are at another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies. Not with rookies, for rookies.
For with.
Yeah, whatever. Anyways, I'm Bill the Dealmaker.
Not Pete the Rookie.
Pete the Rookie. So I'm flipping houses with you, aren't I?
Yes?
Okay. Not as many as we want, though.
No. But we have a new plan to sort out today.
Oh, we have a new plan to sort out today?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, Pete's got something concocted.
Well, I'm in the middle of something, and I got to get all the way through it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we're on episode number 66, Peter. Rot-roll.
Close.
Rot-roll.
Close. I'm not 66.
Oh, you're killing me.
I just keep getting old, Bill. I keep staying older than the shows.
You had a birthday. I forgot about that. You're 67. Uh-oh. Next episode.
Next episode.
We'll be as old as you.
Well, wait a minute. If next episode is like this, big deal. Where's the donuts? Where's the cake?
I brought you donuts on our 50th show, and you didn't eat any. You said you can't have the sugar.
I had one, didn't I?
No.
Oh, I meant to.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. Did you just keep them on me?
No, I ate them and gave them away.
Oh, okay, bring them on. Or just, confetti, cupcakes.
Confetti and cupcakes?
Something. Hats, little hats.
Really?
Yeah, little signs.
Yeah? Oh, where is the sign, Emma? We didn't put the sign up. I bought that sign to put behind us so that they could see it on the video. And, yeah, we got to put that up today.
I'll hold it.
You'll hold it? Okay.
Behind your head.
Yeah. So I can frame it so none of you are blocking it.
Ah, Emma said we needed to be here. Anyways, blah, blah, blah. What are we talking about that for? Today's episode is number 66, How to Invest in Real Estate with Little Money or Experience.
That sounds like a good starting place.
It does?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, because people that start because they don't have any money or experience.
Okay.
But they want some, but they don't have either.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me about that.
Well, we've had a lot of meetings, a lot of workshops, the radio podcast responses, and a lot of people are new to it. I know it keeps kind of slipping, huh?
Yeah.
So they're in a position where, whatever age they are, they're either looking forward or my age looking like, oops, I didn't look forward enough.
Yeah.
And they need to do something. So they start, but if they had money, they wouldn't be worrying about it. They don't have money to just go buy stuff. So they have to rely on their wits
Right.
in a method that doesn't require money. And, of course, they're new, so no experience either.
Okay.
And it's not like you're buying pencils. These are houses, so they're big pieces of stuff. So you want to be safe while you're doing it.
Right. Do you want to be safe?
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, not too much. You can't be too safe or too risky either.
Okay.
Somewhere around there.
In the middle.
No, quarter up.
Quarter up?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I have a question for you.
Yup.
Are you better off as an investor with money or with no money? Which one has the better advantage?
No money.
Okay. Explain.
Well, first, that's a true question, so that had to be the answer.
Okay.
No, what I've heard about that is if you have money, you're not careful what you buy, what you spend, how much you might renovate if it's a rehab, and you might just spend money to make money.
Right.
And I know people have put 20% down on a house and made payments. Of course, if they get, for rentals, right?
Right.
Of course, if they got rentals, that's covering it, but they put 20% down, so it's a while before they get their money back. And then, in 20 years, 30 years, they're great when it's paid off.
Right.
A real long-term strategy. But I don't like spending $40,000 to make a $500 cash flow.
Right.
I'd rather pay $500 and make a $10,000 or $20,000 profit.
Right.
So the way we have it figured out, you can do that. You don't have to put a lot of money in, and you can get good money out. Now, that's a good business model. You know, if you can put a little in and get a lot out, that's way better than a lot in and a little out.
Right. So if you have money, then basically what happens is when you have money, the money is the solution. And I could tell you I learned a long time ago. I don't even know if I can clearly state this, but I'll tell you something that I have experienced. Whenever I have like this real big problem, you know, and it may not even be a big problem, but I perceive it as a big problem. You know, like, oh shit, it's the 25th of the month and I got to pay my bills in 5 days and I have like $500 and I need like $5,000. You know, and I have no way of like getting that money that I can see. Okay? Something like that. Okay?
That sounds good.
Yeah, that sounds like a big problem, right?
That's good enough for me.
So the thing that I have learned, regardless of the problem, you know, you pick your own problem, is the first solution that you come up with is technically the worst thing that you can do. It's technically the worst thing you can do. This is my own experience. I notice that if I keep the problem there, because first of all, realize that the definition of a solution is problem goes away.
Right, not replaced by another one.
Right. Well, there could be another problem. I think that's a little bit of a
well, I mean, really solving that problem is done. I've seen people solve a problem in such a bad way they got a new problem because of it.
Oh, I understand.
Like they borrow money to pay it. Now they got to pay that, and with interest, you know, it gets worse.
Yeah.
So really, done deal.
Yeah. So it ends and doesn't continue in another path.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so the definition of a problem is, of a solution, problem goes away, right? And how many people have I met, I know you have met, especially in our meetups, tell us their stories, and their solution is this, but the problem still exists, so they're trying, right? Well, if that was a real solution, then it would at least be getting reduced or going away.
Sure.
Right? Like, for example, you know, somebody owes $100,000, just an arbitrary number, and they're going to use real estate to pay it back, and you know, they plan on, you know, doing it in a year, so they need $10,000 a month. But they're doing some deals, and instead of doing $10,000 a month, they're doing 5 or 6. Okay? So there's a portion of at least what they're doing something.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's what my point is. At least there's they haven't come up with a real solution, because if they did, they'd be paying the $10,000 a month or make one deal and get the $100,000. Right?
Yeah.
All right. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that I have never, ever, 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 never, ever, 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 ever. Did you get it? Ever. Had my first solution be the best solution. Never. What the first solution does is it makes you relax, thinking that the problem's going to go away. Okay?
Yeah.
So I'm going to offend people now by this language, but I love this sentence. But it offends people. So if you think if you're easily offended, turn your volume down right now. It's mental masturbation. Okay, that's what it is. Mental. Mental masturbation. In other words, you're just kind of playing with yourself.
Bill, can't you just say you're kidding yourself? You're kidding yourself.
Why? Let's have some fun. This is a podcast. We ain't got no rules here. You know, we can say whatever we want, can't we?
We can?
Believe me, I've heard some podcasts where that language is very light.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And the F-bomb is every other word.
Boing.
Yeah. So, you got this problem. You think you have a solution, right? And it doesn't solve the problem. But in your mind, you think it is solving the problem. You're content with that solution. You're comfortable with that solution. That's another rule, you know. That's another law. Sometimes what happens, all right, so it's not sometimes, it's more than sometimes. Most of the time, the solution you pick is the one you're comfortable with. And often it's the solution that you're not comfortable with, that you have to do, that you're not confronting. That's the problem. That's the real why. That's the real reason.
Sure. That would make more sense, because Nobody wants to stick their own feet in the fire, but if they're there, they're there.
Right. Which brings me to the most profound thing that I think I've said probably in the last couple of shows is really what a problem is a lack of confront. You're not confronting something. You're not confronting the IRS, or you're not confronting your client, or you're not confronting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in other words, you're not there willing to have whatever. I remember when I was younger, and I'd be driving around in my car, and I'd be thinking about real estate and thinking about all the things I want to do, and I had my problems. I was young, and I had a house to feed, and at the time I was with a girl that had a baby, so it wasn't my baby, but it was, I was like 18, 19 years old, and I used to think, man, I got this problem, right? And I had a lot of them back then. I was like wild back then. I mean, now it's you would not know me, you would not think we were the same people if you met both of us. So the point that I'm making is that I used to tell myself, well, what's the worst that can happen? That was my solution. When I started doing that, and it was like, wow, like, what's the worst that can happen? Well, they can kick me out of my house. Okay, well, what would I do then? But what I didn't realize was that I was just confronting it. I was like looking at it like, okay, am I willing to receive the repercussions of whatever it is that I'm going to create or cause? Right? So it was amazing, some of the problems I solved by just asking myself, well, what's the worst that can happen? Well, what's the worst that can happen? I could do that. I could do that. And then next thing you know, the problem will go away. Okay. So why am I babbling on about problems and solutions, you're probably wondering?
You're reading my mind.
Yeah. The reason why is because all these things that we're talking about, if you have money, are the same thing. See, if you have money and you can just write a check and make it go away, that's the first solution that you have, and it's the worst solution. Always is the worst solution.
Well, on the surface, it looks like, well, you solved the problem, didn't you?
Right.
But there must be an underlying problem causing that to happen that you're not dealing with, right?
Right. So let's just kind of, I guess today's profound day. So let's
It's been like that lately, Bill.
Let's just get right down to money. I mean, what is money? Money really is the effect of anything. It's not the cause of anything. It's the effect of anything. You want my pen and you pay me $10. Money, my money that you're going to give me, or I should say your money that's now going to become my money, the $10, is the effect of me creating that pen. Right? I create a lot of interest for a seminar, and people want to come, and they pay me to come. Well, what's the money is the effect of me creating the interest in wanting and people wanting information.
Sure. Yeah, even if you're working a job, you get paid at the end of the week after you do the work.
Right.
So that's what you get at the end as the effect of your creations.
Right.
Your
So
efforts.
just realize that in real estate, what is it? So people will park money in real estate. Why? Because right now, where else are they going to get the amount of return? Excuse me, the amount of return that they can get with it anywhere else.
Right.
I mean, I was in one of my meetups yesterday. Get something to drink here. I was in one of my meetups yesterday, and it was actually pretty funny. We'll talk about that later, but we're in an accountant's office, and it's all this real conservative, really whoa, fancy chairs, and nice office, and it was a beautiful place. And we had a financial advisor speaking. Every week we have a 10-minute segment, and one of the members speaks about their product or their service, right? Peter, I got to tell you, I don't even know how to voice what I think. He talked for 10 minutes. I think I understood about 30 seconds.
Wow.
He was talking about stock markets, and he bounced all over. It was the strangest thing in the world. I had no idea what he was talking about.
Wow.
But the accountant did.
Okay.
And one of the questions he asked, now we have a banker in the group for People's Bank, and he said to her, well, if you put money in the bank right now, how much would you get? And I think she said 0.01 something.
0.01%.
Something like that.
Percent, though, which is also another hundredth of that.
135 or something like that. So it was like, oh my God.
Why bother?
Yeah.
I have a cushion. I have a mattress at home. Let's just stuff it. Jeez,
Right.
seriously.
Right.
I thought it was a 0.5%. Oh no, not just the bank.
Yeah.
The bank's like 1/10%.
That's if you put it in a savings account. I mean, if you put it in a CD or something like that,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's different.
Yeah,
So
teeny bit.
so now you have this person that has money, right? And what do they do with it? Because see, money's an energy.
Mm-hmm.
Money needs to move.
Mm-hmm.
Money's an energy. Just realize that money's an energy, and I'm going to prove that to you right now. Okay. So if you have money in a savings account, right? Say you got 10,000 or 20,000 or 50,000 or 2 million, whatever the number is. Maybe it's $500.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you put it in a savings account, and it really doesn't have a purpose. What happens to that money?
Probably shrinks.
Why?
Because inflation's beating it out.
Okay. Have you ever noticed that when you have money in an account like that and it doesn't have a purpose, that some emergency comes up like, oh shit, I need brakes on my car, and it's $489. You notice it's always the same amount of money that you got in a savings account?
Well, something similar to that happens. But what happens to me is like I might not have money for a while. Then as soon as I have the money, need the roof, need the refrigerator,
Right.
and it's like, am I lucky that I just got the money to do that? Did it wait for me, or am
Right.
I unlucky that that stuff happened because I had the money? I'm happy that I had the money when it happened because things happen. But yeah, it's a similar thing.
Right.
The bill comes when the money's there.
So what that means is that so money's an energy. It wants to do something. Right, so that's why when you get money, you have to put money like in reserves, like in a building fund, like this is my education fund, this is my enhance the house fund, or I don't have a house, this is money to and it has a purpose. And when you do that, then it will work for that purpose.
Mm.
Right?
Yeah.
But if you have money just lying around without a purpose, you'll notice it'll melt away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what I've noticed.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that's a law or anything, but that's kind of what I noticed. Okay?
Well, if you don't use it, you lose it. That's a rule.
Right.
Everybody knows that one.
Right. So money guys that have money, if you notice, they want to make the money work,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it's an energy. So what better energy for money than to put it into a piece of real estate? Like you said before, $40,000, right?
Mm.
You buy a condo for $40,000, right? And you pick up $400 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's $5,000 a year,
Mm-hmm.
$4,800.
Mm-hmm.
So that's over 10% return
Mm-hmm.
a year. So where are you going to get that? And it's safe and it's in real estate.
Yep.
Okay. Now, some money guys, big money guys, don't want to be a landlord, don't want to do the work. Because one thing you will notice is that money guys are usually greedy and they're usually lazy.
Hmm.
And I mean that in the highest compliment ever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, those were not derogatory terms at all. And what I mean by that is that they're clever on what they do with their time and with their energy.
Mm.
So if they're a CEO of American National Bank, they're going to keep being the CEO of American National Bank, and they're not going to divert their attention to something else because they have money.
Mm.
But if I come along and say to him, hey, he's my brother-in-law, and I say to him, hey, I got this house for $100,000, I need $130,000 with the renovations, I'll give you 9%, he's going to look at it, and first thing he's going to evaluate is, okay, is it any risk? How much risk is it?
Mm-hmm.
And then once he figures out, and when I say risk, I mean, is he going to get, the first thing a money person thinks about, and most people don't know this because they don't deal with enough money people,
Yeah.
is how am I going to get my money back? Is it safe? Am I going to get my capital back?
Sure. It's more than the interest.
Right,
It's like the interest is nice, but how about the 100% of the loan?
right. So they want to make sure that the money's secure first, that it's in a safe place, and that no matter what, whether I perform or not, they're going to get their money back.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're pitching any kind of private money to anybody, the first thing you're going to do is build confidence, or they have to have confidence in you, or they have to have confidence in the deal to know they're going to get their money back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The next thing that happens is once they realize they have confidence or they have little confidence, then they're going to adjust the interest rate based on the risk, which is why hard money lenders are so gross, because they'll charge, I had my attorney call me the other day. I don't know if you know this, but Mazlik, he'll call me, or my attorney, I should not use his name. But I did. My attorney will call me and he'll have some other deal and he'll ask me advice, which is kind of weird, but that's what happens, right? And he started telling me about this deal that this guy's doing. I wanted to get out of my car and beat myself with a hammer.
In a good way or a bad way? What happened?
I couldn't believe that this was even happening.
What?
Some guy was lending money. It was like $100,000.
Yeah.
And he was lending him money, and he wanted 5 points, 15% money, and a profit share.
He wanted it all. Is that the greedy part?
I said to my attorney, that's the mob. Does his last name end with a vowel?
Yeah. Hey, it's Guido.
Yeah.
He was one of his clients was trying to do this, and he was asking the lawyers.
Yeah. Well, what he was asking me was there was some paperwork they were trying to do, and he asked me what I would do, how I would structure the deal, and that's another story. But
start with changing the numbers.
But the more I talked to him, it was after a 20-minute conversation that I started asking, well, how much is he paying? Why are you doing that? And why are you doing this? And I realized that, it was pretty gross.
Yeah.
But it was the guy.
The person had no clue.
Well, it was his first deal, and he just wanted to do a deal. Yeah.
But you can find a normal money lender, hard money lender, that's less than that.
Here's my point, and this is exactly what I told. That's right, you could.
Was that his first solution?
Yeah. So exactly. Here's my point. My point is this: the hard money guy or the private money guy, whatever he was, said he. I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on in my throat this morning. He had no confidence in this guy to perform.
Mm.
That's all it was. Or he might have just been greedy. I mean, some people are just plain old greedy. But if a money guy doesn't have confidence in the deal or for you to perform, then they'll get squirmish or they'll ask a lot of money. That's the reason why hard money guys lend the way they do. That's why they usually charge, 2 or 3 points. And they charge 10 to 15, 10 to 12. Well, actually, right now it's 10 to 12%.
Yeah. But they want the points up front, so they already made their own money that they lent. They take them right back.
That's right, because the deal is correct, because they force it to be correct, because they don't want it to exceed 70% value of the house, right? So they know that it's an asset-based loan. The loan is, which is another thing that irritates me, because nowadays hard money guys are asking for credit checks, and they're basing the loans based on credit, which is the complete opposite of what a hard money guy is supposed to do. Because a hard money guy is an asset-based lender.
Yeah, the house. That's your asset. That's your collateral.
So
there's a house sitting there.
Right. So the loan is based on
secured.
The loan is based on the property, not your credit.
Yeah.
Where if you go to a bank, it's much different. I mean, even though the property has something to do with it, they're going to put their first foot forward on how well can you pay, regardless if the property disintegrates. Mm-hmm. You're still on the hook for the money. Mm-hmm. Okay, because the bank is going to go after you first and then the asset. Where the other way, the hard money guy is just going to go after the asset and not do anything with you, unless he's ugly. Then he could. You're going to sign everything personally, anyways. I mean, I've never done a loan without signing personally. It's just not real. Mm-hmm. Okay, so, but the asset should cover the loan. My point is that, and we're spending a lot of time on this because I want you to understand that if you understand these things that we're talking about today, then you'll understand how to invest in real estate with little money or experience, because it'll make sense when we start pulling it together in a few minutes. Okay, because when you have money and everybody thinks that money is the solution, I can't tell you, when I say everybody, I don't use words like that usually. But honestly, almost one for one, when I meet new investors, the first thing they tell me is they don't have capital. Or they have capital, they'll tell me how much they have, and they're like, this is what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? I mean, I met somebody at the meetup last night that told me that he has friends that have money. And he's like, I'm not worried about the money. I'm like, good. You shouldn't worry about the money. I can't tell you how many times I sat in people's houses at their kitchen tables and I made deals. I struck paperwork. I put a pen to paper and signed documents and then leave there with my acquisition manager like, how the hell are we going to pull that off? I can't tell you how many times I've done that. I'll bet you more than 50% of the time. I might have 3 or 4 deals in the works, and then I'll buy a house just because it's a good deal, and I'm like, shit. Where am I going to get the money for that? How am I going to pull that off?
Yeah, because you've used most of the money you have available from your private lenders.
or whatever. Or I just have 5 houses and I don't need another house.
Oh, yeah.
There's been different scenarios. The point is that if you're not able to put yourself in that position, well, let's go back to problems. Okay? I feel, just on Bill's planet, okay, you have a choice. Either your mind and your head and your wherever it is, your mind is there for one reason and only one reason. And I really believe this. It's to solve problems.
Mm-hmm.
It's to keep you safe and solve problems, right? You fall off your bicycle when you're 10 years old and you break your leg and you think bicycles are bad. Consciously or subconsciously, your mind is constantly going to tell you, oops, there's a bicycle over there, be careful, we got hurt last time we did that.
Yep.
Okay? So that's how your mind works. Now, sometimes it's doing things below your conscious level you don't even know about. Okay? The point is that it's doing it. We all can agree on that. I mean, you might get around bikes and all of a sudden you'll notice your leg starts to hurt, your stomach starts to hurt, and you'll be like, I don't feel that good. And you don't even know why, when really it's your subconscious mind working on you,
Mm-hmm.
telling you to get away from the bike. We got hurt last time,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, that happens, and there's so many billions of examples that happens with. It's just how the mind
But I
works.
don't think people notice it when it happens either, though.
Oh, you don't
They
notice
don't-
it?
they don't-
Oh,
they
yeah,
don't
I don't
recognize
notice it.
it.
I don't notice it. When it happens to me, I don't notice it. I'm just like, how many times have you said to yourself, I don't know why I can't do this. I just got that feeling that I just can't do this.
Mm.
Or it's just a gut feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I got this gut feeling that I should just not be doing this.
Mm.
Or I should be doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's just like this gut feeling. Right? That's the subconscious mind working. Anyways, forget about that. The point is that your mind is there to help you survive. It helps you solve problems. So let me ask you this question. It's a really good question too, Peter. It's a really good question.
I'll try to come up with a good answer.
If you believe what I just said, that your mind, do you believe that? Do you believe that your mind is there to help you solve problems and live a better life?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, isn't that what your mind is for?
That's what my answer would have been when you said that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Solve problems.
Right. So if you know that, you consciously know that, then here's the question.
Mm.
Why don't you give it the problems instead of it finding its own problems?
Wait a minute. Say that again.
So why don't you create the problems instead of it finding its own problems?
Okay.
So if you don't have problems,
Yeah, I think I do.
if you don't have problems, then what's it going to do? It's going to just find. It's not going to stop working. Your mind's not going to stop working.
No.
So it's going to find some problems to solve, right?
Yeah. You know what I've noticed? Like, take my mom. She's 93. She's got nothing to worry about. The bills are paid. I take care of everything. She gets up. She eats. She toodles around. Not a care in the world. What the tiniest thing happens, like we're missing a box of matches. Like, what happened to the matches? Did you see the matches? Oh, my God. I hope I didn't lose them. Did I move the matches? Like, what? Where? Ma, just matches. Oh, I know. Hope I didn't do something wrong. Ma, take it easy. It's matches.
Right.
But that's the only problem you have. Make the most of it. Keep going.
Right.
I'm serious. If that's all you got,
Right.
you've got to make the most out of it because you need something to do.
Right.
So you
Your
might
mind's not going to stop working.
no, and you might as well come up. I guess what you're saying is you might as well come up with your own things to do that are your choice instead of waiting for something to show up and bug you.
Yeah, we have a name for it in the English language.
What?
Goals.
Goals. Yeah, that's right.
So if you say, I want to buy a house before the end of the year and I want to make $30,000, I'm going to tell you I'll tell you what the biggest problem with goals is. And I've done this because I consulted 400 to 500 auto repair shops per year for 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
I did this with a multiple amount of people. And I'm talking men, women, and some in between. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, we were in California.
Hey.
So,
Bam, boom.
yeah, we were with the fruits and the nuts. So, yeah, and don't cut that part out. Peter says we got to cut that part out. Don't cut it out. So, anyways, I am an East Coast guy. I got to, make my jokes.
I disavow any knowledge of this man.
You think when I go to California, they don't make jokes on me? Yeah, okay.
It's all right. Not on the radio, internet for thousands.
You ever notice that if you're on the West Coast, everybody's from New York? Like the East Coast guys. Oh, you from New York?
Oh, they ask us if we are.
Yeah, you're from the East Coast? Oh, you're from New York?
Yeah.
The only thing that's on the East Coast to Californians is New York.
Yeah.
Are you from New York?
Sure.
You talk like you're from New York.
Yeah.
Anyways, just joking. I hope I didn't offend anybody. So, one thing that I did notice is that if you don't believe in your own goals, there's no sense in making them. So in other words, if you have a goal, you need to believe that no matter what, it's happening.
Mm.
I might lose arms and legs, and I may not have hair, and I might have just, no money left, but I'm hitting the goal.
Mm.
And to the degree that you believe is to the degree that you'll hit that goal. And to the degree that you believe is the degree that it no matter what happens, you'll get through it. And ironically enough, and I don't know how this happens when we get into these shows, but ironically enough, the definition of happiness is going through all of those obstacles. It's not hitting the goal. It's going through all those experiences of it not working, it working, the successes, the smaller successes of attaining that goal. That's what makes you happy. That's what makes you content, is going through those learning curves and those obstacles and the unknown obstacles and the known obstacles.
Yeah, every time you beat one step along the way, you do feel better.
And you gain confidence.
Yep.
And you feel better because it's like, oh, I got through that. I didn't think it was going to turn out that way. Or I learned something.
Yeah.
And now I can do that for the next 20 deals. How do you think I got to where I am? I'm not the sharpest tack in the drawer, that's for sure. Sharpest tool in the shed, however you want to say it. I'm not that guy. Okay? I'm just and I joke, it's not a derogatory. We had somebody put this on, I remember, what was the word, self-deprivation, was it?
Self-deprecating.
Deprecating, yeah.
It means self-pooping.
I'll never forget that. That's something I will never forget. I still haven't resolved that in my own mind.
Apparently it's still there, huh?
Yeah, it's stuck.
Oh, jeez.
But I'm just a dumbass, and the reason why I call myself a dumbass is because I like things simple. The more complicated it is, the less I want to have to do with it. I like things simple. Okay? And so I'm constantly taking something that looks complicated and trying to make it simple.
Well, do you know that? Here's my education hat. The more you study any subject, it gets more and more simple.
Yeah.
It looks, look at music, rocket science. Everything looks horribly complicated until you get through it. Oh, that's not so bad. It just, 1, 2, 3, okay, sure.
Right.
But it takes a while to get to that simplicity.
Right.
This real estate thing looks simple at first. When you buy a house, you fix it, you sell it. You buy a house, sell it, make a profit. As if it's just, like you just do with the pencil. There's work involved,
right.
But you've gotten it simpler and simpler and simpler.
The amount of times over and through it creates more and more certainty, for sure. Right. So it's just how it is, right? So nothing beats hands-on, which is one of the reasons why, why some people have tried to reach out to me and they're looking for courses and books and stuff like that, and we have some of that. I believe in hands-on. I mean, the reason why I don't get involved with all that stuff is because, I could sell videos and I could put a whole online presence. I mean, I have the ability. I have the team that can do it. I can hire more people to do it and just, go boom and become a guru, I guess. But why? Why? I want results. I don't want to just sell people information. I want results, which is why I have my private coaching group. I keep it below 20 guys, which right now I'm looking for a couple guys because I had a couple drop off, which doesn't happen very often. It happens a couple times. I mean, it's only happened twice.
Yeah.
And I've only been doing the coaching clients for a couple of years, right? So the point is that I hold their hands and I make sure they get results. All right. So I'm not here to talk about that. So the point that I'm trying to make is on this episode is that if you give your mind the problem to solve and you consciously say this is what we need to do, meaning you and your mind and your body and all the rest of the parts that go along with it, and your family and your resources. This is what we're going to do, and give it its smoke signals, or whatever you want to say. Pointing it in a direction, right? Like for example, I had to go to on Labor Day weekend. I had to go to Florida and bring my son a car, right? So I took my daughter Jessie with me, and she will attest to this. We had a plan. We spent a couple days putting things together. All right. By 6 o'clock on a Wednesday night, the car was, and I joke about this, but it's exactly what I'm talking about. The car was pointed southbound. All right. Emma had given us a map because I wasn't going down 95. We went down 81, which is a trucker's route.
Wait, you said a map?
A map. She had actually given us a map.
Yeah. On a piece of paper?
Yep.
Written directions.
Written directions.
Holy cow.
Because I just didn't want to, that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
So Jesse had the written directions. We pointed, the car was full of gas, was packed, had ice in the cooler because we had to bring my dad hot dogs.
Yeah.
Okay. Which she didn't say thank you for, by the way. That pissed me off. So, anyways, the point is this. The car was pointed southbound. The cigar was lit. It was like Cheech and Chong going down the road. The smoke pouring out of the car. Okay?
Cigar smoke.
Yeah. Are you insinuating there might be something
No,
else?
I'm just clarifying. You started
Cheech
a cigar,
and
you
Chong.
went to Cheech, and I want to just get it back to cigars. Just back.
At 3 o'clock the next day, we were in Tampa. Okay? We drove. We didn't stop. We stopped for gas. And if there was a McDonald's next to the gas station or a Burger King or Wendy's, we would get something to eat, which only happened once or twice. I mean, you don't need to eat that much, right? And 3 o'clock the next day, we were in Tampa. 2:30, actually. Right? So, why did that happen? Is it because I'm a miracle or something? No, we had a freaking plan. Right? We had a plan and we did it. And Jesse kept saying, Dad, this is so simple. I don't know. It's because we had a real plan. And we were consciously overcoming the obstacles, constantly overcoming the barriers, right? And constantly just, receiving the freedom that we had to do it. It just kept going. Okay?
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Sure.
All right, so let's bring this back to how to invest in real estate with little money or experience. I think I've told you that this whole episode for the last 35 minutes. So the rule is that if you have money and you use your money, you're going to make bad decisions. That's pretty much guaranteed. Because you'll rely on the money as a crutch to solve your problems, and the first problem is not always the best problem. Matter of fact, it's never the best problem.
That's the solution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first solution is never the best solution. It's the worst solution. Which, by
It's
the
the
way,
easiest one.
Yeah. By the way, I have found when you get to 8 and 10 solutions, they are the best.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I'll try that. I'll go home and work it on one of my problems.
There you go.
I have to come out. Tell the wife we need to come up with 10 solutions. What? Yeah, the 8th, 9th, and 10th will be the best ones. What?
They'll be the most creative.
I gotta
ones.
try it.
Yeah. Right. So the other thing is that if you're gonna create a problem, let me just emphasize it this way. So if you say to me, Peter, I don't have any money, what does that portray?
Well, it portrays a person who hasn't been successful.
Okay, that's the effect.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but what was the real intention?
What, that somebody saying I have no money? Well, they need to do something without using money. They need to find a way to make it without needing money to do so.
See, this is what happens because it's a trick question. If somebody says I don't have any money, that's their intention. Because their attention is on I don't have any money. So if your attention goes on not having money, what are you not going to have?
Money.
Because your attention's on I don't have any money. 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 I don't have any money.
Yeah.
I don't have any money. I don't have any money.
I actually
don't have
had
any
somebody bitch slap me years ago. They said, stop saying that. Why? It's true. Like, you keep saying it's going to stay true. Shut up. Start saying, I've got money.
Right. Right.
I've got money. Actually, when we first got married, whatever we had at those times, we allocated into different accounts for this, and this.
Yeah.
And we looked at it, said, and then a few weeks later, like, where'd that come from?
Right.
Instead of just paying no attention, we paid attention to having it, and then we just took care of it, and we had some. It was kind of an odd thing, but it worked very well.
Right. So it works that way with time too. I don't have any time.
Not any time.
I don't have any
time. Yeah.
So I'm just going through this myself. I just said to Emma this morning, I have to practice what I preach because I have a couple of things I feel like I go week after week and things aren't getting done.
Yeah.
And I said to her, it's because I stopped doing time blocking. I need to, at the beginning of the week, fill out my schedule.
Oh.
And put in there, like yesterday, I worked an hour and a half on something I've been wanting to work on for a month. And I feel freaking great that I worked an hour and a half on it.
Mm.
And it's nowhere near done.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, if I work, and I put it on my schedule, and even if I work on an hour and a half or 2 hours a week, it would get done.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah, sure.
So time works the same way.
Mm.
But the point is, if you put in your head, I don't have any money, I don't have any money, I don't have any money, that's what you're going to get. Just like what you just said.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, we have a mutual friend, and he bitch slapped me about it, too. Which is the reason why I'm talking about it.
And
Because
his initials are ST?
Yeah.
Was that recent?
Mr. DeLevy. No, he does not let off on me 1 second.
Yeah.
I need you to make money. Yeah. So, how to invest in real estate with little money or experience. Well, once you get these things that we're talking about done, okay, in other words, realize you don't need to have money. You're better off if you don't have money. So get that concept, that learn how to buy real estate with no money first and get the real education than if you did have money. Because if you bought real estate when you had money, then you're not getting a real education. You're just buying your way through.
Yeah.
So if you don't have any money and you learn real estate without any money, then you'll be a good investor.
So anybody can buy a house if they have money.
Yeah.
But it takes knowledge.
And experience.
Experience, which you'll get as you go, but in the beginning, the knowledge will get you like your first deal with no money down.
Right.
Yeah.
So first rule is you're better off not to have money.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Second
Well,
rule,
it makes you learn how to do it.
right. Second rule is realize that you have the ability to pose problems to yourself and work on those problems instead of life just giving them to you. So it's the difference of you living life or life living you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's the difference of you living life, which is I pose myself the problems and I get what I want, or life living me. I have all this drama in my life and it's just controlling me and I can't get out of it.
I think I should say something. Because when you say problems, I'm sure some people are thinking, why would anybody want to give themselves a problem? A problem is no different than a game or a goal. It's just that your attitude toward it.
Yeah.
So, like you can be sitting there like, well, yeah, I make $50,000 a year. Is that enough? Not really. How much would you like to make? $100,000. Yeah, okay, go ahead. Well, I don't know how to do it.
Right.
So, is that a problem, or is it a goal, or is it a game? Wow, what's the difference? It's all the same thing to me.
Right.
I think the difference is you get upset if you don't know what you're doing, and it feels like a problem.
Right.
If you just keep pushing through, learning how to fix it, and just change your attitude, like, let's see if we can just win. Like you see people playing a sport, and some are getting upset. It's a game. You go home. You're not losing anything, and they get upset about it. It's a game, but they think it's a problem.
Right.
So how about if you take a problem and think it's a game? Why don't you just reverse that?
Right.
So you're giving yourself challenges and just work on them, and then the guy won't be making $100,000. He might have some problems along the way, challenges, but if he just gives himself the situation, or instead of, if you wait, you wind up with this big medical bill,
Right.
or something happens, the car breaks, oh man, you got to come up with all this money. Well, why don't you challenge yourself before the fact? Get things situated and set up so when something really comes by, you're all set, instead of that becoming an emergency problem.
Right.
So am I on the right track, what you're saying?
So there's a great book. And could you go find this link for me, please? It's from Grant Cardone.
Mm-hmm.
It's called the 10X Rule. It's the 10X Rule then from Grant Cardone. To get exactly what you're talking about right now, just read that book.
Yeah.
Because it's like if you want to make $100,000, don't put the goal of $100,000. 10X it. Make it $1 million.
Yeah.
Because if you have a goal of $100,000 and you hit 80, you're like, ah. But if you got a goal of $1 million and you hit 600,000, look at the difference.
Well, I'm pretty sure if you make a goal of 100,000, you'll make less than that.
Right.
Just because life does that to you.
Right.
It's a mean world. It's a mean, cruel world.
So if you want to buy one house, make it 10. If you want to buy 10, make it 100. Okay. And it's not even that you're going to buy 100 houses, but it's just what we say. If you put that goal there, then what's your mind going to work on? It's going to work on 100 houses, not because really, the stupid thing of all this, Peter, the stupid thing of this is once you do it a couple times, it's just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. So just do it 1 or 2 times, and the last 15 minutes we're going to talk about how to do that. Okay, I'm going to give you the mechanics, the actual mechanics instead of all this theory about how to do that. But I want to just recap again. So one, we need to realize that we're better off to learn real estate without money. Number 2, we need to pose the correct problems to ourselves and think about those problems, like how are we going to get 10x? Right? Did you find it in? And you post it. So if you're on the podcast, you can go to facebook.com/flipping houses for rookies, and we live stream on there, and the link is in the comment section of the live stream. Right, Em? So if you go to Flipping Houses for Rookies in Facebook, you'll find the live stream of today's show, and the link is in there. But it's where'd you get it off? Amazon? Yeah. So just go to Amazon.com, look up for Grant Cardone, The 10X Rule. Okay, it's a great book, and it's an easy read. How much? $17. It's a hardcover book. It's a great book. Great book. So.
Yeah, it's been on my list for a while. I just read his millionaire book, Become a Millionaire. I forget the title. It's a little one, but...
Yeah, I've never read his real estate books. I know him from the car business because he was a very good sales speaker. Teach people how to sell.
Oh.
So he's got some very good techniques on how to sell. But he went through a period where he wrote some books because those were his goals, and the 10X Rule was one of them. I try to read it at least once a year. It is a fascinating book. Anyways, so once we get the mindset that we don't need money and that we gotta believe in ourselves and pose the problem that I am going to be a professional real estate investor, and I don't like to use those words, but professional home buyer instead of investor,
right?
Because investor has a connotation to it that you don't want to give your client, but we do use it because it's the most common word. Okay. Then here's what you do. Okay, so once you got those things in place, here's what you do on how to invest in real estate with little money or experience. Okay? The first thing you can do is find a way. Now, the formula that I use is find a motivated seller and communicate with them. Let them, that's number 1. Number 2, let them know what you do, which is I buy houses. Number 3, find out what they want and they need. Right? Want is how much equity, and what they need is their mortgage paid off. So find out what they want and what they need, and then make them an offer based on that. Right? And of course, we have the 7 offers that we do, which if you go to flippinghouses.club, then you'll find them there, or go to flippinghouses.club/finding deals, and you'll know how to find these people. Okay? There's a whole bunch of videos there. Okay?
Yeah, one thing interesting about the real estate market or the job is that you don't just sell things, you got to buy things to sell.
Yeah.
If you're a plumber, you got your skills, you just sell your plumbing.
Right.
I sell my music lessons, but in houses you got to buy one and then sell it. So it's a two proposition situation.
Right. So even if you don't want to spend any money, you don't want to spend a dime with me, which is fine. You don't want to get educated. You don't want to. You're just one of those hard ass peoples that just think everything's a scam.
I want to learn it myself.
Yeah, I want to learn it myself. Okay, so that's fine. So do this. Find a way to communicate to a motivated seller is step number 1. So how do you do that? The first way you could do that is to find rental properties. Go on to like RentMe or Rents.com and find a rental site or find some place that advertises rents. And call. It's a phone game. I mean, it's a numbers game on the phone, and it's cold calling. But you call them and say, I would like to know if you're interested in renting with a purchase to own. I mean, renting with an option to own. And you make enough of those phone calls, someone will say yes. Okay, and you go to that person. You go look at the apartment, and you simply find either from a local attorney, a local closing agent, a local realtor. They all have what we call lease with an option documents. So you're going to lease it with an option to purchase. Okay, and do that for 12 months. Now, when you're doing this, the only downfall is the likelihood of you getting this rent without any security deposit is going to be very low. So you're probably going to need a month's worth of security deposit in a rent. So you're going to need a couple $1,000s. But maybe not. I mean, it depends how good you are at talking. Okay. Now you go find someone that will pay more than what you're paying, and you rent it to them with an option to purchase.
Yep.
Like suppose you got a $70,000 condo, and you can agree on a price of $60,000 or $65,000.
Right.
And then suppose you're paying $1,100 a month, maybe you can get somebody to pay $1,300 a month. So the first question I'm going to get is why would somebody pay $1,300 a month for a $1,100 a month apartment? The reason is because they're buying the apartment. They have ownership stake in it. And they'll pay more, and you tell them the reason why they're paying more is because you want to make sure they're motivated to get a mortgage and cash you out. In other words, if they once they get their mortgage,
it'd be a lower rate.
It'd be a lower. Yeah. They can go back to $1,000 or $1,100 a month. So you want to keep them motivated.
You got to have incentive.
Right. And the point, the next question I always get is, well, why would somebody do that? Because 81% of this country right now is not mortgageable. United States is not mortgageable.
Yeah, they can't get a loan.
They can't get a loan. So somebody that can't get a loan would give a non-refundable deposit. So if it's a $70,000 house, a condo, for them to 70% of what 3% of $70,000 is
$2,000. $2,100.
Yeah, $2,100. Right. So they would minimally give you $2,000 or $3,000 for a down payment. That's non-refundable because it gets put up against the option. It's a non-refundable option consideration deposit. Because it's not a security deposit. You're not a landlord. They actually are getting a stake in the property, which you got from your seller. Okay, this is not hard to do. It sounds a little complicated what I'm talking about, but I promise you, it is not hard to do. You just get on the phone and you call rental people and ask them if they're willing to rent with an option to buy. And if you're going to rent with an option to buy, I'm going to tell you, try not to do it in a year. Try to get 2 or 3 years. And the landlord will probably want to do that, right? Because he's kind of burnt out. Because I got to tell you, when is the most vulnerable time? What is the most vulnerable time for a landlord? Do you know? Just common sense.
Well, when the lease is coming up,
or when somebody moves out and it's vacant.
That's what I mean. The lease is up. The guy's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when are you calling him?
Well, it'd be nice if you wouldn't know when the lease is up, but
if he has it advertised for rent, when are you calling him?
Oh, it's right then. It's when it's empty.
Yeah. So is it possible he's thinking in his head, I don't think I want to keep doing this.
Yeah.
So now you call him and you say, will you rent with an option to buy? Well, I've been thinking about selling anyway.
Yeah. Or even better, I only want to do this a couple more years.
Right.
So you say, how would I do it for a couple more years?
Right.
It fits the model of what you're doing.
So this falls right into what I always preach about, which is matching the message to the market. This is it's a great place to do that.
Yeah.
So you're going to lease from a guy with an option to purchase and do it with landlords. And hopefully find a burned out landlord. How hard is that?
Not hard at all.
Do you need to have money?
Just a security deposit type stuff.
Okay, let me ask you about that. So suppose you don't have the $2 or $3 grand for the security deposit. Where do you get it from?
The guy coming in.
Yeah.
The deposit.
So what you do is you tell the guy, okay, so I want to sign. I need a little bit of time to get it. I'd like to sign the document, sign the option agreement. I'm going to go find my buyer, and he's going to give us the money. So you put it up for rent, and your option buyer comes along and gives you the money, and now you give it to him.
Right.
So now your option buyer gives you $3,000, and you give him $1,100 out of the $3,000. Did you need money?
No, you found a way to get it.
Okay. Exactly what we were talking about before.
Yeah, because if you had money, you just write checks.
Would have just wrote a check for $1,100, and that would have been it. And what happens if you didn't find a buyer? Now you're out $1,100, and you have this commitment with this mortgage. I mean, with this landlord. It's exactly what I was talking about earlier, which is why I spent most of the show talking about it, because if you do it that way, you will get in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So the best thing to do is to do it the way I was talking about, with no money, make the deal, and make sure you cycle through the problems and you don't use the first solution.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Just what you said there was worth me coming today. Seriously, because I like solving problems, but I come up with one or two. I never thought of how many different solutions can I come up with. That sounds like some kind of Buddhist process or something here. It sounds like it's therapeutic to think of more than one solution to a problem.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be? Wouldn't that empower somebody?
Yeah. Well, it did me. That's why I did it. And nobody taught it to me. It's just something I just started doing.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Okay.
I like that.
All right. That's number one. So you don't need to have a lot of experience. Right? You can fumble through it and make as many mistakes as you want, because what's the worst case scenario? You piss off the guy that's renting the apartment on the other line and he hangs up on you. Guess what? There's another one behind him. Make another phone call. Get back up on the horse and ride it.
I don't find people that nasty, though.
No,
I know
that's
you're
wrong.
saying that because people are going to worry about that. But if you talk to people in a certain way, respectful, cheerful, and friendly, you think they're just going to be mean to you?
Right.
If you talk to them like you're a businessman, or droll and dry and angry, of course it'd be easier for somebody to just like, what do you bother me for?
Right.
But if you're nice to somebody, matter of fact, next time somebody's giving you grief, smile at them. Don't overdo it. They'll think you're being wise.
Fake, yeah.
Yeah. No, actually, in your own head, when you see somebody getting angry, you realize, gee, I'm sorry for him. I don't mean to make him angry. I really like this guy. And just feel that and watch him melt.
Right.
Watch it. So you can be nice to people, and they'll be nice back to you. They'll say no. You say, well, thank you very much. If you change your mind, let me know.
That's
nice
right.
talking. You have a good day.
Yep.
You know?
What you going to say?
Yeah. Give it out. You'll get it.
One of the most profound lessons that I learned in life, and I got to tell you, I have tons of experience with this. And it sounds too simple, and it sounds like it's a play on words, but I'm telling you, if you really, really, really get what I'm going to say right now, your life will change. Don't be interesting. Be interested. Too many people are trying to put on that social veneer, like, look at me, I'm doing okay, and everything's safe. And you should like me because look what I have.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just being honest. We came home from the meetup last night, and my wife says to me, my wife doesn't go to the meetups, and she came last night. And she said to me, last thing she said to me before we went to bed last night is, you're way too honest in those meetups. You tell people too much stuff. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, they got to implement it. The implementing is a whole different story. They don't need information. They need implementation.
Mm-hmm.
She said, no, about your personal life. Why do you tell people things like that? I'm like, because it's real. I'm not ashamed of it. It's real. It's because I'm being interested. I'm interested. When somebody sits in front of me, I'm interested in them. I'm interested in what they have to say. I'm interested in everything that's going on in that conversation. And it's just what you say, especially if you have gratitude. It's a Napoleon Hill thing. Gratitude is one of the Think and Grow Rich laws. To have gratitude, right? To be gracious, to appreciate things. Why do you think that book lasted 100 and some odd years? Because it's a law. It's the truth. So that's a very good statement you make. But be interested instead of interesting. If you're trying to like be on stage and show off and say, look at me, everything's fine, and it's fake, people get that. When you're being interested, you're being real and sincere, and people get that. It's called a sensual being. You actually can feel it when somebody's being fake and when somebody's not being fake. Right? Try to run that by any woman. Yeah, exactly. They pick up on that quick.
No thanks.
Not being chauvinistic. It's just a reality.
They're smarter than us.
So Pete just got a fan club.
It might be up to 2 now.
Yeah. All right. So the second thing I want to talk about, and then we'll end off here. So the first thing is you can call renters, people that are renting apartments, and you can actually lease from them with an option to purchase, and then sell with a lease and an option to purchase. How about for sale by owners?
Sure.
Right? Do you think that you might run across someone that has already moved Okay.
Oh, sure. Even
And
better.
and they have 2 payments.
Yeah.
Is it possible you can find that person?
Mm.
Probably. Well, think of it this way. What's the number one reason a for sale by owner is a for sale by owner?
I think they're trying to save fees,
Exactly.
or they have to because they're over leveraged.
Doesn't matter why, they don't want to pay the fees.
Mm-hmm.
Some they just don't like realtors,
Mm-hmm.
which is whatever. I can understand that. I've been there before. Or the other is maybe there's just not enough in the deal for them to sell it.
Mm.
Right?
Yep.
In that particular case, can't you do a slot deal, the sandwich lease option transaction,
Mm.
where you buy it for what they owe, you inflate the price a little bit, and then you make that as your deposit?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you make the deposit money as your profit.
Yeah, same as the condo example, except that person can't get a mortgage either, and he has to pay extra to get in a house, or he doesn't get one at all.
Right.
So it's just market driven that he will pay a little more.
So is it possible that you can have a $100,000 mortgage and tell the guy you'll give him $100,000 and then market it for $107,000 and get $105,000?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody gives you a $5,000 deposit
Mm-hmm.
and he owes $100,000, which he's going to give to the seller,
Mm-hmm.
and then you put a lease between the seller and the buyer, and you collect $5,000.
Sure.
Could you do that?
Mm-hmm.
Do you need experience?
Well, it's always the first time.
Okay, so not a lot of experience. I mean, all you got to do is be able to get a lease agreement and an option agreement,
Uh-huh.
right? Which you can get from a title agent or a lawyer, an attorney, or, I mean, you're not going to get mine. Don't be sending in, because the only way you're going to get mine is if you get in my coaching program.
Mm-hmm.
Because my forms are very fickle, and I don't like people using them without my advice.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's an arrogance on my part, but you know what? They're my forms.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't want them floating around out there because they need some talent to use them. Okay? And my forms are very, very good forms. I've used them and used them and used them. They are above average. There is no doubt about that. I've been in court with a few of them,
Mm-hmm.
and I've won every time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So I know they're good. I got one form for a deposit that cost me $6,000. Just to take more than one deposit. How many times have you heard that, Peter? In any real estate transaction, if you write a purchase and sales contract,
Yeah.
that's it. You're done selling the house.
Yep. It's off the market.
Not me. I have this one form that's a one-page form.
Mm-hmm.
I take as many deposits as I want and I keep selling. And then I choose who I want to buy the house. So,
Yeah. Of course, you give them all the other ones back.
of
But,
course, yeah.
and they know that going into.
Of course they do. I
Yeah.
don't hide anything. You should know that
Yeah.
by now.
Sure.
You're nothing.
Yeah.
So, is it how to invest in real estate with little money or experience? I just gave you 2 ways. Call rent owners, people that are trying to rent it, and say, will you rent with an option to buy?
Mm-hmm.
And the other is call for sale by owners and ask them the same way.
Mm.
Ask them if you can rent the property with an option to buy.
Mm-hmm.
Will they do that? Because I'm going to tell you right now, a majority of FSBOs, for sale by owners, are people that are stuck with a house and they're trying to sell it.
Mm.
Not all of them, but there are a good percentage of them that are. And you could do that,
Mm-hmm.
right? How about if you just signed an option with them? Just a plain old option, and sold it much like a realtor, and just gave them their price, and then went and inflated the price and sold it on your own. You could do that too. I mean, I had a house one time. I gave a guy $100 for it. It was in Meriden. I can picture the house. I can't think of the name of the road. God, I can't think of the name of the road. Anyways, I don't know. He thought he was a wise ass. He told me, well, I've been trying to sell the house for a year, and what makes you think you can sell it? I'm like, because I'm good at selling houses. Right? 6 weeks later, I signed an option agreement with him for $160,000. I sold it for like $178 or something like that, and I had an $18,000 profit. That's what maybe it was $150, and I sold for $168 or whatever the numbers were. It was $18,000.
Mm-hmm.
Guy thought it was a joke. Didn't realize it till I got to the closing. Got to the closing, he wouldn't sign the documents because I was making too much money. He was pissed because he couldn't get 150 or whatever his number was. He couldn't get it, and I got $18,000 over that. Had to take him out to the outside in the parking lot. I told you the story.
Yeah, this is it.
And I wrote him a
never heard
check.
the beginning of it. That's the one.
I wrote him a check for $5,000 and took $13,000 profit.
Mm-hmm.
I gave him $100 for an option, and I went and sold the property. All I did was give him $100 in an option agreement, which you can get from any realtor, anybody that does real estate. You can get it from an attorney or a closing agent. They have them.
Mm.
There's degrees of how good they are, but the point is that you could do it. So there's a third way. So the first way is you can get rent to own,
Mm-hmm.
right, and do a lease option. You could do for sale by owners and do a lease option. You could do for sale by owners and get just a regular option, right? The point is that will get you experience. Just go through a couple of those deals. Because what's the worst thing that can happen if those deals don't go?
Well, when you only have $100 in them or a security deposit or waiting for a security deposit coming from a deposit,
Right.
Time.
Yeah.
But that's education.
Yeah.
It's never a waste.
So before, when we were talking about when we started the show, you said that you had some fear. I don't understand where the fear comes from, because if you're doing deals like that, you shouldn't have fear.
Mm-hmm.
What you need to do is you need to concentrate on finding those deals.
Mm.
So remember I was talking about what problem to solve? The problem you need to put in your head is I need to find one of those deals. That's what I need to do, because it's going to change my life. So that's the problem you put into my head. How am I going to make that offer to that guy today? Wake up in the morning and think, where am I going to find somebody to make an offer to today? That's the problem you put in your head.
Mm-hmm.
And every day wake up thinking, I wonder where I'm going to make an offer today. Where am I going to find somebody to make an offer today? I better call some landlord people. I better call some for sale by owners. I better give myself a half an hour and make 13 phone calls.
Mm-hmm.
And what will happen?
You might succeed.
It's very, 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 very possible you would succeed.
Yeah.
Right? So how do you invest in real estate with little money or experience? I think I've covered it in vast detail today.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed?
Those are definitely the places to start in those circumstances.
Now, are you going to become a millionaire doing these things? No. Are they the hardest way to do what we do? One of them, yes. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But it'll get you started. It'll get you some experience. It'll get you some resignation. What's the word I want? It'll get you noticed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Huh? Recognition. Yes, that's it. Recognition. It'll get you going. And by the way, at the end of the show, I drop the bomb. Ready?
Yeah.
If you want to do rehabs and you want to be a professional flipper and do some of the things that I do, and you want to attract private money and you want to attract all the things that I'm telling you about, and you've never done a deal, this is a perfect place to start. Because what do you think happens when I go to my private lender and says, he says, how many deals have you done? Well, I've done none.
He gets
How confident
50%
is.
interest,
Yeah.
5 points in a profit share.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where if I've done 4 or 5 or 6 of these other deals, I can say, well, I've done 7 deals.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? Yeah, this address and that. He doesn't need to know how you did the deals. He's not going to ask you what was the math, how much money did you make, how did you come up with the money.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to say, oh, yeah, where are they? Oh, I did one on Main Street, and I did one on, Cookus Avenue, and I did one on, this street and that street. And here's some pictures, because you're going to take before and after pictures. And you're going to build a portfolio. So maybe for a year you do it the way I'm telling you to do it, and then all of a sudden, what happens? One day you got 3 or 4 houses done, you stumble across a rehab, and you're like, I need money, and you go to your money guy, look, well, I've already done 3 or 4 houses, look at them.
Yeah.
You want to play?
Mm.
You want in? You want what I know?
Yeah, and he might not give you 100%. So if you can make 5,000 here, 8,000 there, 10,000 there, and just stockpile a little bit money, so you have something going in, they might be more willing to work with you too, in case they do that.
Exactly.
What are you putting in? Ooh, okay, I got 10 grand, I got 20 grand,
Exactly.
I got the renovation, something.
If you have a 660 credit score or higher, I can get you money.
Mm-hmm.
I can get you unsecured loans. It's going to cost you between $3,000 and $5,000, but it comes out of the money that you borrow. The first deal.
Unsecured?
Unsecured money.
Mm.
I have a name of a guy that will get you unsecured money. It costs you between $3,000 and $6,000,
Mm-hmm.
and it comes out of the first deal. But once you have it, then you have and it's interest-free money
Mm-hmm.
for I think a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah. Well, you have the upfront fee and then no interest then.
Yeah.
So you pay something, but not both. That'd be too much.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if you send an email to info@flippinghouses.club, I will give you that information.
Yeah, I've seen a few of those out there, but their fee was way more than
Mhm.
this guy you've got. So it's about half, I think, from what others charge.
Yep.
Because they advertise, 0% interest, but then they charge you like $8,000 or $9,000 up
Yeah.
front. Well, I'm sorry, that sounds like interest to me. So this is at least a much better price.
That's okay if you're borrowing 100,000 or 120,000. That's okay. But if you're borrowing 50,000, that's not good.
No.
All right, Peter. So, if you want any information on how I find my deals, go to flippinghouses.club/finding deals. We have a Facebook page, a closed Facebook page. It's $1 for the first 30 days and then $67 a month after that. But it's a tremendous amount of information. If you, yeah, that's it. If you want to contact me, you can get me at info. If you have questions about what we're talking about, it's info@flippinghouses.club, and I answer all the support tickets. So they come to me directly. So if you have any questions about what we're doing, or a question on a deal, or you have a success story or anything like that, then you can send it to info@flippinghouses.club. Last thing is, we do this for free, obviously. Well, it's not for free for me. I spend a lot of money to do it, but for you to listen, it's for free. So if you feel like our shows are good or bad or have something you'd like to communicate, please give us a review. And the way you do that is by going to flippinghouses.club/podcast, which, by the way, all of our archived videos are there. There's 60-something of them at this point, so there's a lot of information. I have coaching clients that call me after listening to 30, 40 shows and end up getting coaching because they've heard there's so much information.
And they started buying houses.
And they start. I think I'm up to 85 or 90% of my clients right now are buying houses, are in the middle of a deal.
Mm.
And there's a couple that aren't, and they haven't been, and I don't know if they ever will, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, go give us a review at flippinghouses.club/podcast. On the top right-hand side of the page, it says iTunes. Put a review on iTunes. Please go there and put a review. It's a great score for us. I think last time I checked, we were in iTunes under the podcast section, education, under the education section.
Yeah.
We were number 5.
Cool.
So that's really cool.
Out of...
I have no idea.
Thousands?
Yeah, thousands. Yeah, tens of thousands probably.
Wow.
But we're rated number 5. So
awesome.
if you go into iTunes, go to the podcast section, and then under podcast hit education.
Mm-hmm.
We're number 5, and it's because of our reviews and stuff like that. So I really appreciate the reviews. If you can go do that, it would be very helpful, and I would appreciate that as an exchange for helping you with all the information we give.
That also helps other people.
Yes.
If they're not sure if this is a show to listen to or other ones, and they see good reviews, then hopefully we can help more people that way.
Right. So we're very cautious lately on making sure we stick to topic and give people what they want. So also, if you have any ideas on podcasts that you would like to hear, send me an email at info@flippinghouses.club, and I would gladly pick a show that you guys want to hear. I mean, I randomly pick topics, but if somebody had something they wanted us to talk about, they could do that. And then the last thing is housekeeping. Every week when we record these now, we're on Facebook like we talked about before. We do a live stream on Facebook, and you can go in Facebook and ask questions while we're doing the podcast. And that's at facebook.com. I got that club thing in my head, huh? Facebook.com/Flipping Houses for Rookies. And there's a whole stream there, and we answer questions. And then once we finish with the podcast, like right now, we're going to end the show, and then we do a post-podcast inside of our Finding Deals closed group. We used to call it Coaching 101, but we've changed the name of it. It is now called flippinghouses.club/Finding Deals. Thanks to Peter. It was a great suggestion. And so in the Finding Deals section, which is a paid closed group, we actually go in there for about a half an hour, 45 minutes, Peter and I, and we answer any questions. So those questions are a little bit more technical. On a podcast, if you ask questions, I may not go into the exact techniques and stuff. I might be a little bit more general about them. And same thing with the support tickets. Because people are paying to be in this group, I give more information while they're there. Mm-hmm. So I make sure that they know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. So it's a closed group, and we go there. It's a post-podcast, and we go there afterwards and answer technical questions. And we actually we go over deals. We go over our deals. Mm-hmm. And if somebody has a deal, they can send it in on Facebook, and we'll go over their deal too. Mm-hmm. So it's like a personal one-on-one type of thing.
Yep.
Okay. All right, man. So we went way over. We're an hour and 15 minutes.
Wow.
Pretty soon we're going to make it a 90-minute show. No. Till next week, Peter. Make some money.
I like that about problems, coming up with multiple solutions.
Are we off air? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That was a good show.
Yeah.
Seems like we were off topic for about 40 minutes, but I pulled it right back together.
Good that you write it down.
I have to pee.
I think the show was better than our meetup last night.
Yeah, for the amount of people, I mean, it was fine. It's just you're not going to feel the energy out of that few amount of people.
Yeah, they were pretty low tone, too.
Yeah. Well, it took a half an hour, but they started responding just because you kept off flowing.
But I didn't care. I had a suspicion of that, and that's the reason why I did it the way I did. Because now I can make 4 or 5 YouTube videos and put them up there and capture some YouTube videos.
What do you think of this? This is just my opinion as a lecture person. If you have like remember like what the hell was it? The Anatomy of Human Mind course. Mm-hmm. If you had like the same lecture every night, people come once. Mm-hmm. If you have a series of 10 or whatever different ones, people know it's a different thing every week, every month, or every week, or every day. You should have to show up. I read your copy and it's good. I'm not sure if it sounds different ultimately from month to month. I'm not sure it's even wrong, but I'm wondering if you had that and then maybe something specific that you're going to cover to tell people this month it's this, next month it's that, so they think they know it's something different. They've got to come back. They got to keep coming back because you get like guys once, and the guys who used to come don't come because they're the coaching group. They don't need to show up anymore, right? We lost the core group there, so I think that's when it changed from the 40 to the 20 people when you really start doing a lot of coaching because a few guys come once in a while. So that's just a thought.
Okay. Yeah, well, we could give things away too. One of the things I was thinking when you were talking was
What, today or last night?
just now.
Oh.
I was thinking, well, we could do that with the because we started that with the seven offers, right?
Mm.
So every month, concentrate on that offer.
Just one a month?
Yeah.
Mm.
And then just and then actually do deal structuring and bring live deals with those in there.
Mm.
And at the end of the night, give away the actual documents.
Oh.
But that would be too much, I think. We would get a big group, but what would that give us?
I would not give away documents in any situation.
Or lease options and stuff like that, or anyways.
Yeah, well, you get what I'm trying to get at. If you make it look like it's different, very specifically, maybe they come back more.
Yeah.
Because there's it's doled out bit by bit. Like with the cliffhanger, next week we're gonna do.
Yeah.
I'm bringing a couple of checks to Maslick to keep going forward with the eviction.
Yep.
Do you just write it to his name, or do you do anything fancy?
I just do Tom Maslick.
Okay. That's my
I
reminder.
have to give you a check. I got to figure out your interest. I'll give you a check before you leave today. I know it's 161 days. I just got to figure out the number. Or 160 something days.
Well, it's almost 6 months. It was March 23rd, so it's almost 6 months.
Yeah, I just took March 23rd and I went on my calendar and I counted all the way till. I mean, we closed in August, but so I went to, I think, September 1st or September 10th or something like that. It was 160 something days.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So whatever. I just counted the days.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, are there any questions from others? You want me to do deals?
Yeah.
Y'all ready?
Yeah.
Want to talk about the ones I lost to? Or just
That's fine.
the almosts and the not lost yets? Where'd he go there?
How many people do we have on the podcast? Anybody?
One or two at a time. I don't know how many total.
I'm ready.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.